So the House Majority Whip, James Clyburn, the Democrat, said, as long as you say, if this is true, you're covered. You're covered. Well, you know, if it's true that James Clyburn is a child molester, that would be evil. You know, if it's true that he cheats on his wife, that would be just a terrible thing. Of course, doesn't give you cover to say if it's true, if the story is unreliable. You know, but this is not the problem. The problem is not that the story is unreliable. I understand it's a 24/7 news cycle. To add to this, of course, Robert Mueller, in an extraordinary moment, which he has not done anything like this before, he came out and said, this story is not true. So now the thing goes down the drain. Now the ship sinks, and they're stuck with all these if-true stories, right? And Brian Stelter has the reporter who covered it, Anthony Cormier, on with Ben Smith, the guy who runs Buzzfeed. And listen to this interview. He asked them all these questions, and they just dodge him.
I have further confirmation that this is right. We're being told to stand our ground. This is our reporting is going to be borne out to be accurate, and we're 100% behind it.
Who is telling you that?
Oh, I'm not going to talk about my sources. I got to be honest.
Sometimes I write stories and I say I have a number of sources. I actually have more than that, but I can't reveal how many I have. Is that what you're saying happened in this case? You had more than 2 sources?
Do that, but I think that you say what you say in the story and you stand by what you say in the story. I would say that something reporters sometimes do is they describe someone as a senior law enforcement official and they fudge that, and these senior administration official characterizations can be shady, and then sometimes that identity is revealed and you say, come on. And I just do want to say that in this story, in this case, these are very narrow, very strong descriptors.
Let me just ask about documents like the dossier. Anthony, you said on CNN on Friday that you had not seen the documents you described in the story. Jason Leopold said on MSNBC, we've seen documents. Can you explain that to us?
Yeah, I can't really get into the details there.
So these guys got nothing. So Brian Stelter, before they come on, he announces that he's going to have them on. He tweets that he's going to have them on in a show which is called Reliable Sources. So I tweeted, that's great. Shouldn't you change the name of your show for this episode? And Stelter tweets back, well, shouldn't you watch the show first? The answer is no, because the problem is not the mistake. The problem is not that they ran with a false story. The problem is the bias. When I talked about this on this show, what I said was, you know, one of the things that bothers me about this story, and obviously I'm not a newsman, I'm a commentator, I'm giving you my opinion, but I said what bothers me is the FBI clearly overstepped its brief in their investigation of Donald Trump, and these leaks are obviously intended to cover that up, to reframe an unconstitutional breach by our intelligence services and spying, amazingly spying on a presidential campaign, which is absurd. And the problem is the press is not covering that story, and it didn't even occur to them to wonder whether that was going on, because that story doesn't exist in their minds, because they're all Democrats and there's no one there to say to them, hey, maybe this is a setup by an FBI that is trying to cover up. It's overstepping the Constitution. There's nobody there to say it, so they don't cover it. That's the problem. The problem is not that they talked about the Buzzfeed story. The problem is they had no context because they only see everything from one side.